Does this look familiar? You've whisked the yolks, you've clarified the butter, you're drizzling it in. One slow stream at a time, exactly the way the recipe tells you to. And then it splits, greasy and curdled. A $6 stick of butter and 3 egg yolks ruined in under 30 seconds. Most home cooks blame themselves when Hollandaise breaks, but the fault isn't yours. It's the method, the traditional technique. Warm clarified butter drizzled into egg yolks is the very thing that makes Hollandaise so unforgiving. And the solution isn't more practice, it's colder butter. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why cold butter produces the most consistent Hollandaise I've ever made, and why every culinary textbook tells you not to do it. Hollandaise is one of the 5 French mother sauces: egg yolks, acid, and butter, and that's it. 3 ingredients, no margin for error. And if you've ever made it, you know the anxiety, the bowl over simmering water, the frantic whisking, the moment of truth when you add the butter and hope that the emulsion doesn't collapse. Here's where most people get this wrong. They think Hollandaise is temperamental because emulsions are fragile. And emulsions are fragile. Oil and water don't mix without help. But the real problem with the traditional method isn't the emulsion itself, it's the temperature window. Clarified butter is poured warm, around 130 to 140 degrees. Egg yolks begin to scramble at about 150 degrees. That gap is terrifyingly narrow. If your butter is too hot, the yolk seize. If it's too cool, the emulsion never forms. You're threading a 10-degree needle while whisking, watching, and hoping. And that's not technique, that's gambling. And I don't like gambling with my Hollandaise. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. For the past several years, I've been making Hollandaise the wrong way, on purpose. Cold butter, straight from the refrigerator, stirred into the yolks, cube by cube, while the bowl sits over barely simmering water. Not a single culinary textbook endorses this, not one chef I've ever trained under. The method defies everything we were taught about emulsion theory. Cold fat directly into warm yolks without being melted or clarified first, it shouldn't work. But here's the thing, it works every single time. And once you understand why, you'll never go back to the drizzle and pray method again. The traditional approach treats butter like a liquid. You're adding it to an emulsion. My approach treats butter like what it actually is, a package, fat, water, and milk solids, all bound together. And when you add it cold, you get all 3 at exactly the right rate. Now this is where things get interesting. To understand why cold butter works, you need to understand what's actually inside a stick of butter. Butter isn't pure fat. It's roughly 80% butterfat, 15% water, and 5% milk solids, proteins and sugars. When you clarify butter, you remove the water and the milk solids, leaving only the fat. That sounds cleaner, more controlled, but you've also removed the very things that can help stabilize your emulsion. When a cold cube of butter hits the warm yolks, it doesn't melt all at once. The outer layer softens first, releasing its water content into the emulsion, water that helps keep the yolks from overheating. The butter fat incorporates gradually, never shocking the proteins. And the milk solids, those tiny particles of protein, they act as a physical barrier between fat droplets, preventing them from coalescing and breaking your sauce. You're not just adding fat, you're adding an emulsifier at a controlled rate alongside the fat itself. The gradual melt is precisely why it works and not why it fails. Traditional Hollandaise fights physics. Cold butter Hollandaise works with it. Let me show you exactly how this works. Start with 4 egg yolks in a heat-proof bowl. Add a tablespoon of lemon juice and several dashes of Tabasco, or, if you want to be traditional, a reduction of white wine vinegar and shallots. The acid isn't just flavor, it helps denature the yolk proteins, making them better emulsifiers. Set the bowl over a pot of barely simmering water. The water should never touch the bottom of the bowl. If it's boiling, it's too hot. You're looking for wisps of steam, not bubbles. This is key. Whisk the yolks and acid together for about 30 seconds, just until they lighten slightly and begin to thicken. You're not cooking them though, you're warming them to the point where they can receive the butter. Now comes the part that breaks every rule. Take cold butter straight from the refrigerator, cut it into small cubes, about a ½ inch. Drop 1 cube into the yolks and stir. Not whisk aggressively, stir. The butter will soften, then melt, and the yolks will absorb it. Add another cube and stir until it disappears, then another and another. This isn't fast, it's deliberate, and each cube takes about 15 to 20 seconds to fully incorporate. But here's what nobody tells you. That slowness is your margin for error. As you add more butter, the sauce thickens. You'll notice it around the 6th or 7th cube. The texture shifts from loose yolks to something glossy and structured. That's the emulsion forming in real time. Keep going until you've added the full stick, 8 tablespoons total. If the sauce ever looks like it's going to get too thick or the bowl feels too hot, lift it off the water for a few seconds. The residual heat in the bowl is more than enough to keep melting the butter. This is the control that the traditional method never gives you. The finished Hollandaise should coat the back of a spoon. Run your finger through it. The line should hold. Season with salt, a touch of cayenne if you like, and keep it warm over, not on, the water until you're ready to serve. Now this is where the method proves itself. A traditional Hollandaise has a hold time measured in minutes. If the temperature drops too far, the butter solidifies and the sauce breaks. If it stays hot, the yolks continue to cook and the sauce breaks. You're racing the clock from the moment it comes together. Cold butter Hollandaise holds differently because the butter was never heated beyond the temperature of the yolks themselves. The emulsion is more stable at lower temperatures. I've held this sauce for 10-15 minutes without it breaking. More than enough time to poach your eggs, toast your English muffins, and crisp your Canadian bacon. The assembly is straightforward. Toasted muffin, a round of back bacon, seared on the edges till crisp, a poached egg, 3.5 minutes in water with a splash of vinegar just until the white's set, but the yolk stays liquid. Then the Hollandaise, spooned over the top, draping down the sides. And the first cut. That's where everything comes together. The yolk runs, the Hollandaise glistens, and you realize you haven't been anxious once since you started making the sauce. Here's what this method really teaches you. Most of the rules in classic French cooking were written for professional kitchens. Brigade systems, speed, consistency at scale. In that environment, clarifying butter and drizzling into yolks makes sense. You're making quarts of Hollandaise and you need standardized workflow. But a home kitchen is different. You have time, you have attention. You're making enough sauce for maybe 2 to 4 plates. And sometimes the technique itself, designed for efficiency, is actually less than the reliable path. Cold butter Hollandaise isn't a shortcut. It's slower than traditional method, but slower in this case means more forgiving, more control, fewer broken sauces, and fewer wasted ingredients. The best technique isn't always the one in the textbook. It's the one that works in your kitchen, with your equipment and on your timeline. And this one works. If you try this method, cold butter, stirred in slow, I want to hear about it. Tag me, show me your Hollandaise. And if you'd like the full printable recipe with exact measurements, it's linked in the description below. Thanks for joining us today on Glass Plate and Beyond. If this changed how you think about one of the most intimidating sauces in the kitchen, subscribe. There's more coming. And I have to know, what is the one sauce that has ever broken on you? Hollandaise? Béarnaise? Maybe a Beurre Blanc that has turned into a puddle of melted butter. Because once you understand what cold butter does, it changes all of them.